There is a power within you that lies dormant, waiting to be awakened. A power so immense that, once activated, it can completely transform the course of your life. Napoleon Hill, the man who studied more than 500 millionaires and spent 25 years distilling the secrets of success, discovered something that goes far beyond techniques and strategies. He discovered a profound connection between the human mind and an infinite intelligence, a creative force that some call God, others call the universe, and that permeates everything that exists. And today, at this very moment as you listen to these words, you are about to discover how to align your mind with this supreme force and unlock a potential you never imagined you possessed. Think with me for a moment. How many times have you felt like you were fighting alone against the world? How many sleepless nights have you spent worrying about problems that seem to have no solution? How many dreams have you hidden away because you believed they were too big for someone like you? The truth that Napoleon Hill reveals to us is both terrifying and liberating. You have never been alone. There is a source of infinite wisdom, an ocean of possibilities, a creative intelligence that is constantly trying to communicate with you, to guide you, to inspire you. But there's a problem. Most people live with their antenna turned off. They wander through life like radios out of tune, picking up only static, noise, interference. And then they wonder why life feels so hard, why success seems so distant, why happiness is so fleeting. Napoleon Hill was not a mystic detached from reality. He was a pragmatic researcher, a man who personally spoke with Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and the greatest achievers of his time. And what he discovered was revolutionary. All of these successful people, without exception, had developed a special ability to tune their minds to something greater than themselves. They had learned the art of aligning their thoughts, emotions, and actions with an invisible but powerfully real force. And when that happened, miracles became routine. Opportunities appeared out of nowhere. Solutions emerged for impossible problems. Doors opened where there were once only walls. Not by luck, not by chance, but because they had discovered the right frequency on which to operate. Now you may be wondering, how does this actually work? How can an ordinary person with real problems, bills to pay, responsibilities, and limitations truly connect with this so-called infinite intelligence? And this is precisely where Napoleon Hill's genius reveals itself. He doesn't offer us abstract theories or incomprehensible philosophies. He gives us a detailed map, a set of practical, applicable principles that anyone can use to transform their reality. And it all begins with a fundamental understanding. Your mind is far more powerful than you can imagine. The human mind, according to Hill, operates on two distinct but interconnected levels. There is the conscious mind, which you use to read these words, make daily decisions, and solve logical problems. But there is also the subconscious mind, a vast and mysterious realm that operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without rest. And here lies the secret that changes everything. The subconscious mind is the bridge between you and infinite intelligence. It is through it that you can access wisdom, inspiration, creativity, and power beyond anything your conscious mind could ever generate on its own. But that bridge must be built consciously. It does not happen by accident. It requires intention, discipline, and practice. The first step to aligning your mind with God is to understand that you are not trying to reach something distant or external. God, infinite intelligence, is already within you, not as an abstract idea, but as a living, pulsating reality. The problem is that your conscious mind is constantly generating noise that blocks this connection. Worries, fears, doubts, resentments, anxieties, all these negative emotions act as static interference that prevents you from hearing the inner voice that is always trying to guide you. Napoleon Hill discovered that great achievers had learned to silence that noise. They had developed the ability to quiet the mind, to create spaces of inner silence where higher wisdom could manifest. But let me be very clear about something important. Aligning your mind with God does not mean sitting back and passively waiting for miracles to happen. It's not about renouncing your responsibility or expecting some magical force to solve your problems while you watch television. On the contrary, this connection with infinite intelligence makes you more active, more determined, more focused than ever before. What changes is the source of your power. Instead of relying solely on your limited strength, restricted wisdom, and finite abilities, you begin to operate connected to an infinite reservoir of resources. It's like the difference between trying to light an entire house with a flashlight versus connecting it to the power grid of an entire city. Napoleon Hill teaches us that there are specific steps, concrete practices, we can adopt to strengthen this connection. And the first of these is developing what he calls applied faith. We are not talking here about blind faith or irrational belief. We are talking about a deep, unshakable confidence based on understanding and experience. It is faith that comes from knowing, not just believing. It's the certainty that arises when you begin to see real evidence that there is a higher intelligence working through and around you. And this faith is not a gift that some people have and others don't. It is a skill that can be developed, strengthened, and perfected through deliberate practice. How do you develop this applied faith? Through a process Hill calls autosuggestion. Your subconscious mind accepts and acts upon any thought that is repeated with emotion and conviction. If you feed your mind with thoughts of failure, limitation, and impossibility, your subconscious will work tirelessly to materialize exactly that. But if you consciously and deliberately plant seeds of faith, possibility, and positive expectation in your subconscious mind, something extraordinary begins to happen. Your subconscious starts to work in harmony with infinite intelligence to create circumstances, attract opportunities, and manifest resources that transform those seeds into tangible reality. But here's something crucial that most people don't understand. It is not enough to simply repeat positive affirmations mechanically. Napoleon Hill discovered that emotion is the fuel that activates the power of autosuggestion. When you combine a clear, definite thought with intense, genuine emotion, you create a magnetic force that literally reorganizes the energetic field around you. You begin to vibrate at a different frequency. And when your frequency changes, everything changes. The people you attract change. The opportunities that appear change. The solutions that emerge change. You are no longer operating on the surface level of existence. You are tapping into deeper layers of reality, where true transformations take place. Think about how the great spiritual masters, prophets, and visionaries throughout history achieved what they achieved. They did not possess greater external resources than you. Many of them were poor, uneducated, without powerful connections. But they had something that transcended all those apparent limitations. They had established a conscious and deliberate connection with the source of all power. And that connection was not reserved for them. It is available to you, here and now. The only difference between you and the great achievers of history is that they discovered how to tune into the right frequency, and you are still learning how to do it. Napoleon Hill gives us a specific method for establishing this tuning. He teaches us about the power of scientific prayer. Now, when we talk about scientific prayer, we are not referring to reciting memorized words or following empty rituals. We are talking about a systematic process of communication with infinite intelligence. It is a prayer that does not beg or plead, but affirms and gives thanks. It is a prayer that does not come from fear or despair, but from faith and certainty. It is a prayer that does not say, "Please give me," but rather, "I thank you for already receiving." This distinction is fundamental. When you pray from a place of lack and need, you are affirming and reinforcing that very lack. You are saying to the universe, "I don't have, I need, I am not enough." And the universe, being a force that responds to your inner vibration, continues to reflect exactly that back to you. But when you learn to pray from a place of gratitude and certainty, when you clearly visualize what you desire as if it were already real, when you feel the emotions of already having achieved your goal, you are sending a completely different signal. You are declaring, "I am a channel through which abundance flows. I am aligned with infinite power. I am worthy and capable of receiving every blessing I desire." And infinite intelligence responds to that declaration by creating pathways, synchronicities, and manifestations that turn your vision into reality. But Napoleon Hill goes even deeper. He reveals that there is a specific moment when the human mind is most receptive to communication with infinite intelligence. That magical moment between sleep and wakefulness, when you are either waking up in the morning or drifting into sleep at night. In those moments, the conscious mind is more relaxed, the ego is less active, and the doors of the subconscious are wide open. It is in this state that you gain direct access to your subconscious, and through it, to infinite wisdom. The greatest inventors, artists, and visionaries learned to use these precious moments. Edison, for example, would deliberately take naps with a metal ball in his hand, so that when he entered deep sleep, the ball would fall and wake him, allowing him to capture the ideas that emerged in that liminal state between consciousness and unconsciousness. You can begin using this technique today. Before going to sleep, instead of surrendering your mind to the worries of the day or the distraction of screens, dedicate 10 to 15 minutes to deliberately plant the seeds you want to grow. Visualize your goals with crystal clarity. See yourself already living the life you desire. Feel the emotions of fulfillment, gratitude, and joy. Then, with that vivid image in your mind and those intense emotions in your heart, surrender to sleep with a clear instruction to your subconscious. Work in my mind during the night. Connect me with infinite intelligence. Bring me solutions, ideas, and inspiration. When you wake up in the morning, before jumping into the day's rush, stay for a few minutes in that receptive, drowsy state and pay attention. Often, you'll find that the answers you were seeking, the solutions to problems that once seemed impossible, naturally arise in that state. Now, there's another fundamental principle that Napoleon Hill emphasizes when talking about aligning the mind with God: the importance of having a definite purpose. Infinite intelligence responds to clarity, not confusion. It responds to determination, not indecision. It responds to focus, not dispersion. Think about the difference between the light of an ordinary bulb and the light of a laser. Both are made of photons, but the bulb's light scatters in all directions, weak and diffuse. The laser's light, on the other hand, is coherent, focused, so concentrated that it can cut through metal. The same difference exists between a scattered mind and a mind aligned with a definite purpose. When you know exactly what you want, when you can articulate your goal with absolute clarity, when you commit yourself fully to that goal, you transform your mind into a laser that can penetrate any obstacle. But here's something most people don't understand about definite purpose. We're not just talking about material goals or external achievements. The most powerful alignment happens when your personal purpose is in harmony with a higher purpose. When you're not just seeking personal gain, but contributing to something that uplifts humanity, serves others, and creates value in the world. Napoleon Hill observed that the true giants of success were not driven solely by greed or personal ambition. They were driven by a vision of how they could make the world better. Edison wanted to illuminate the world. Ford wanted to bring mobility to the masses. Carnegie wanted to build libraries and promote education. When you align your personal purpose with a higher purpose, you tap into an inexhaustible source of motivation. You're no longer working just for yourself. You're serving as an instrument of a greater intelligence. And that completely changes the quality of your energy, your persistence, and your ability to overcome obstacles. And this brings us to something Napoleon Hill considered absolutely essential: persistence. Aligning your mind with God is not a one-time event. It's not something you do once and it's done. It is a continuous practice, a relationship that must be cultivated daily. Just as a muscle must be exercised regularly to grow stronger, your connection with infinite intelligence must be nurtured, reinforced, and deepened through consistent practice. And this is where most people fail. They try a technique for a few days, don't see immediate results, and give up. They pray fervently when in crisis, but forget the practice when things get a little better. They start with enthusiasm, but lose momentum when they encounter resistance. Napoleon Hill studied the phenomenon of persistence in depth and discovered that it is not a trait you either have or don't have. It is a decision you make repeatedly, every day, every hour, every moment. It is the absolute refusal to accept failure as permanent. It is the understanding that every obstacle is merely a test of your determination. Every setback is just a temporary detour on the path to your destiny. And when you are truly aligned with infinite intelligence, when you know beyond any shadow of doubt that you are on the right path, persistence ceases to be a torturous effort. It becomes natural, inevitable, even joyful, because you know that every step you take, even in the hardest moments, is bringing you closer to your goal. But let me share with you what may be the most transformative insight of all. Napoleon Hill discovered that there is one specific emotion that, when cultivated and sustained, dramatically accelerates the process of alignment with infinite intelligence. That emotion is love. We're not talking here about romantic love or familial affection. We're talking about a higher form of love that Hill called universal love. It is love that expresses itself as deep compassion for humanity, as intense gratitude for life, as genuine appreciation for the beauty that exists everywhere, as kindness that flows naturally without expectation of return. When you operate from this elevated frequency of love, something extraordinary happens. You stop being in conflict with life. You stop fighting against the natural flow of things. You begin to move in harmony with the invisible currents that guide the universe. And in this state of harmony, infinite intelligence can work through you with far greater ease. People feel your energy and are naturally drawn to you. Opportunities appear because you are radiating a frequency that resonates with abundance. Problems resolve themselves because you are no longer creating resistance through fear and worry. You become a clear channel through which divine power can flow and manifest in the material world. Napoleon Hill also warns us about the internal enemies that block our connection to infinite intelligence. The first and most dangerous of these enemies is fear, the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of losing love, the fear of aging, the fear of illness, the fear of losing freedom, and the fear of death. These fears are like invisible chains that trap your mind in a prison of limitation. They consume mental energy, block creativity, paralyze action, and, most importantly, cut off your connection to the infinite source of power. Infinite intelligence cannot flow through a mind dominated by fear, just as water cannot flow through a clogged pipe. So how do you overcome these fears? Not through denial or repression. Those strategies only push fear into the subconscious, where it continues to operate in an even more insidious way. You overcome fear through conscious confrontation and deliberate substitution. You look your fears directly in the eye, examine their origins, question their validity, and then consciously replace each thought of fear with a thought of faith. Every time fear whispers, "You're not capable," you respond with conviction, "I am a channel for infinite power." Every time fear says, "You will fail," you declare, "I'm guided by infinite wisdom. This is not make-believe." It is a scientific process of mental reprogramming that, when practiced consistently, literally rebuilds the neural circuits of your brain. Another powerful enemy is doubt. Doubt is the poison of faith. It is impossible to stay connected with infinite intelligence while you are constantly questioning, hesitating, and doubting. This doesn't mean you should become gullible or naive. It means that once you've made a decision, once you've defined your purpose, once you've started on your path, you must eliminate doubt from your mind. You must develop what Hill calls burning the bridges. When you burn the bridges behind you, when you eliminate all escape routes, when you commit yourself totally and completely to your goal, you unleash tremendous power. Your subconscious mind realizes there is no plan B and mobilizes all its resources to make plan A work. And in this process of total mobilization, you become a magnet for the solutions, resources, and opportunities you need now. Napoleon Hill also teaches us about the power of what he calls the mastermind. This is one of the most practical and immediately applicable discoveries he made. A mastermind is formed when two or more people come together in perfect harmony to achieve a definite purpose. When this happens, something almost magical occurs. It's not just two intelligences working side by side. It's the creation of a third intelligence, greater than any of the individual minds involved. It's as if the combination of aligned minds creates a wider channel through which infinite intelligence can flow. Think of Jesus and his disciples. Think of Carnegie and his team of advisors. Think of any great achievement in history, and you will find behind it an alliance of minds working in perfect harmony. You can apply this principle right now. Find one or two people who share your vision, who believe in you, who are committed to aligned goals. Meet regularly, not only to plan and strategize, but to collectively raise your vibrational frequency. Share your visions, support each other in faith, hold one another accountable. When you do this, you multiply exponentially your power to manifest your goals. But there's one aspect of Napoleon Hill's teaching that is often misunderstood or ignored. He never promised that once you align with God, your life will be easy or free of challenges. On the contrary, when you truly align with infinite intelligence, when you embrace a greater purpose, you often face greater challenges. Why? Because you are being prepared for greater achievements. Every obstacle is a test. Every difficulty is an opportunity to strengthen your faith. Every temporary failure is a disguised lesson containing the seeds of future success. Hill discovered that adversity carries within it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. But you can only find that seed when you look for it deliberately, when you refuse to be defeated by the outer appearance of the situation. Think of Lincoln, who failed in business, lost elections repeatedly, suffered deep depression, and yet became one of the greatest presidents in history. Think of Edison, who failed thousands of times before creating the electric light bulb. Think of any great achiever and you will find a story of overcoming, of persistence in the face of apparent failure, of refusing to accept defeat as permanent. What set them apart was not the absence of problems, but the ability to see beyond them, to maintain faith amid the storm, to stay connected with the inner source of power, even when everything around seemed to collapse. And here's something profound you must understand. When you are truly aligned with God, with infinite intelligence, you develop a kind of inner knowing, an intuitive voice that always guides you in the right direction. Hill called this infinite intuition. It's that feeling of certainty that comes from a place deeper than logic. It's that inexplicable knowing that you should do something or avoid something, even when you can't rationally explain why. It's the quiet but firm voice that wakes you in the middle of the night with a brilliant idea. It's the sudden impulse to call someone, who turns out to be exactly the person you needed to reach. Most people ignore this intuitive voice because they have been trained to trust only the logical, rational mind. But the truth is that intuition is the way infinite intelligence communicates with you most directly. It's as if you have an internal GPS constantly guiding you toward the shortest and most efficient path to your goals. But most people have that GPS turned off, or worse, turned on but ignored. You must learn to recognize this intuitive voice and, more importantly, trust it. When you have a strong feeling about something, even if it doesn't make logical sense, pay attention. When you feel an inexplicable pull toward a person, place, or opportunity, explore it. When you feel inner resistance or a warning about something, don't ignore it. Your intuition is infinite intelligence speaking directly to you, and the more you honor it, the stronger and clearer it becomes. Napoleon Hill also discovered something fascinating about the role of transmuted sexual energy in this process of alignment. He observed that sexual energy is the most powerful of all human emotions, and when that energy is transmuted, that is, redirected from purely physical expression to creative expression, it becomes an extraordinary fuel for achievement and manifestation. The greatest artists, inventors, leaders, and visionaries, Hill found, had mastered the art of sexual transmutation. They channeled that intense energy not only into romantic activity, but into creation, innovation, leadership, and accomplishment. This doesn't mean suppressing or denying the physical aspect of sexuality. It means recognizing that the same energy that creates life can be used to create anything: businesses, works of art, social movements, inventions. When you learn to consciously channel this energy, you access a level of creative power that few people ever experience. Now let's talk about something extremely practical: how you can begin today, right now, to strengthen your alignment with infinite intelligence. Napoleon Hill gave us a specific practice he called the daily period of silence. It's simple but profoundly transformative. Every day, preferably at the same time, set aside a period of 15 to 30 minutes where you disconnect completely from the outside world. Turn off your phone, find a quiet place, sit comfortably, close your eyes, and simply quiet your mind. In the first few days, you'll probably find this surprisingly difficult. Your mind will jump from thought to thought like a monkey leaping from branch to branch. Worries, to-do lists, memories, distractions, everything will compete for your attention. That's normal. Don't fight these thoughts. Simply observe them passing like clouds across the sky and gently bring your focus back to the present. You can use your breath as an anchor. Inhale deeply, exhale fully, and with each breath, feel yourself sinking deeper into a state of inner peace. As your mind quiets down, begin to visualize your main goal with total clarity. See yourself already living the life you desire, not as a distant fantasy, but as a present reality. Engage all your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? Who's with you? What's the temperature? What are the smells? The more vivid and real you make this visualization, the more powerful it becomes. Then, with that clear image in your mind, allow gratitude to flood your being. Give thanks for already receiving these blessings. Thank infinite intelligence for working through you. Thank it for the opportunities that are coming your way. This combination of clear visualization, intense emotion, and deep gratitude creates a vibrational frequency that magnetically attracts to you the circumstances, people, and resources necessary to manifest your vision. But Napoleon Hill warns us about something crucial. After this period of visualization and alignment, you need to take action. Action is the bridge between the inner world of the mind and the outer world of physical manifestation. You cannot just sit and visualize and expect the universe to deliver everything to your doorstep. Infinite intelligence works through you, not for you. It will inspire you with ideas. It will create synchronicities. It will open doors. But you need to get up and walk through those doors. You need to act on the ideas you receive. You need to follow the intuitive impulses that arise. Action is the proof of your faith. It is the visible manifestation of your inner belief. And when you act with faith, even small actions can trigger avalanches of results. There is also a principle that Hill calls going the extra mile. In reality, it means always doing more than you are paid or asked to do. It means delivering value beyond expectations. It means serving with excellence even when no one is watching. Why is this important for alignment with God? Because when you consistently give more than you receive, you create a cosmic vacuum that must be filled. You are demonstrating to the universe that you are a channel through which blessings can flow. You are proving that you can be trusted with more. And the universal law responds by sending more opportunities, more resources, more success in your direction. People who stand out, who prosper, who advance, are not necessarily the most talented. They are the ones who consistently do more than expected, who deliver exceptional value, who serve with love and excellence. Now we need to address an uncomfortable truth that Napoleon Hill did not shy away from. The path of alignment with God is not a popular path. When you decide to operate on a higher level of consciousness, when you commit to a greater purpose, when you refuse to accept mediocrity, you will inevitably face resistance. Friends and family may not understand. Colleagues may mock. Critics may doubt. And there will be moments when you yourself question whether you are on the right path. These are the crucial moments. They are the tests. They are the opportunities to prove your faith, to demonstrate your persistence, to deepen your commitment. Hill found that every great achievement requires a price, and part of that price is the temporary solitude of being ahead of the crowd, of seeing what others do not yet see, of believing in what others consider impossible. But here is the reward. When you persist, when you maintain your unwavering faith even in the face of universal doubt, when you remain aligned with infinite intelligence even when everything seems against you, you eventually reach a tipping point, a moment when the tide turns, an instant when everything begins to flow. And then, those who doubted, who criticized, who mocked, begin to call you lucky. They begin to say you were in the right place at the right time. But you will know the truth. You will know it was not luck. It was alignment. It was conscious connection with infinite power. It was diligent work on yourself, on your mind, on your energetic vibration. It was faith applied, transforming into manifest reality. And there is one more thing Napoleon Hill wants you to deeply understand. Material success, as rewarding as it may be, is not the ultimate goal of alignment with God. The ultimate goal is the transformation of your own consciousness. It is becoming the person you were destined to be. It is realizing your unique and divine potential. It is contributing to the elevation of collective human consciousness. Money, material possessions, recognition. All of these are byproducts, natural consequences of operating in harmony with infinite intelligence. But the true reward is internal. It is the deep peace that comes from knowing you are on the right path. It is the joy that springs from living with purpose. It is the satisfaction of going to sleep at night, knowing you have used your gifts to serve something greater than yourself. Napoleon Hill spent decades distilling the wisdom of history's greatest achievers, and the essence of what he discovered can be summarized as follows. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. You are not merely a body with a brain processing random thoughts. You are a spark of infinite intelligence, temporarily embodied in this physical form. And the purpose of your life is not just to survive, accumulate things, or chase fleeting pleasures. The purpose of your life is to express the divinity that exists within you. It is to manifest the infinite potential that was planted in you from the moment of your conception. It is to become a conscious channel through which the creative power of the universe can flow and express itself in unique and beautiful ways. But to do this, you first need to recognize the truth about who you really are. You need to stop identifying solely with your apparent limitations, your current circumstances, your past. You need to begin seeing yourself as infinite intelligence sees you, as a being of limitless possibilities, endowed with unimaginable capabilities, destined to accomplish extraordinary things. And when you start seeing yourself this way, When you truly believe it at the deepest level of your being, something miraculous happens. You begin to act differently. You begin to make different decisions. You begin to attract different people and circumstances. You literally start living in a different reality. Napoleon Hill teaches us that the mind is a garden. Every thought is a seed, and the universal law makes no distinction between good and bad seeds. It simply grows whatever you plant. If you plant seeds of fear, worry, and doubt, you will harvest a crop of limitation, failure, and suffering. But if you consciously plant seeds of faith, gratitude, and positive expectation, you will reap abundance, success, and joy. The choice is yours. It always has been. It always will be. Infinite intelligence has given you free will, and with it comes full responsibility for the results in your life. You cannot control all external circumstances, but you have absolute control over how you respond to them. And it is in that response, in that conscious choice of how you interpret and react to life's events, that your true power resides. Let me share with you a specific technique that Napoleon Hill found to be extraordinarily powerful. He called it the invisible council. Every night before going to bed, he would imagine himself sitting in a meeting room with the people he most admired in history: Lincoln, Edison, Carnegie, Emerson, and other giants. He would imagine each of them in vivid detail and then mentally converse with them, asking for advice, sharing challenges, absorbing their wisdom. At first, this may seem like merely an exercise in imagination. But over time, something remarkable happened. These imaginary figures began to develop distinct personalities. They started offering advice that even surprised Hill, and he realized he was not simply talking to imaginary characters. He was accessing, through his subconscious and his connection with infinite intelligence, the real wisdom and qualities of these people. He was literally calling forth and embodying their best traits. You can do the same. Choose 5 to 10 people you deeply admire. They can be historical figures, personal mentors, or even fictional characters who represent qualities you wish to develop. Every night, meet mentally with this invisible council. Talk to them. Ask for guidance. Observe how they would respond to your challenges. And as you do this consistently, you will find yourself embodying their qualities, accessing their wisdom, and elevating yourself to their level. This is not fantasy. It is a scientific technique of using your subconscious as a bridge to the collective wisdom of humanity, which exists as part of infinite intelligence. Now, there is one aspect of Hill's teaching that is particularly relevant in today's world. He speaks about the danger of mental poisoning. We live in an age of constant information bombardment, negative news, social media comparisons, opinions from people who do not know you or your circumstances, criticism, skepticism, cynicism. All of this is poison to the mind that is trying to align with infinite intelligence. You cannot control everything that enters your consciousness, but you can and must be extremely selective about what you deliberately expose yourself to. If you watch catastrophic news every night, how can you expect to maintain an elevated consciousness? If you surround yourself with negative people who constantly complain and criticize, how can you expect to maintain your faith and optimism? If you consume hours of empty or violent entertainment, how can you expect your mind to generate elevated and inspired thoughts? Napoleon Hill tells us to fast from negativity. Just as you take care of what you put into your body through food, you need to be even more careful with what you put into your mind. Protect your mind as you would protect something extremely valuable, because that is exactly what it is. It is your most precious instrument, the temple where divinity dwells, the antenna through which you connect with the infinite. Consciously choose to consume only content that uplifts, inspires, educates, and energizes. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, who dream big, who live with purpose and passion. Feed your mind with inspiring literature, elevated music, soul-touching art, and conversations that expand your consciousness. This careful curation of your mental diet is not a luxury. It is an absolute necessity if you wish to maintain a state of alignment with infinite intelligence. And here is something that may be the most important of all. Napoleon Hill discovered that there is one emotion that, more than any other, instantly blocks your connection with infinite intelligence. That emotion is resentment. When you hold on to anger, hurt, or the desire for revenge against someone who has wronged you, you are literally poisoning yourself. You are creating an energetic blockage that prevents blessings from flowing into your life. Forgiveness is not about letting the other person get away with it. It is about freeing yourself from emotional imprisonment. It is about refusing to give anyone or any circumstance from the past the power to contaminate your present and your future. When you truly forgive, when you release resentment, you experience an immediate lightness. It is as if a weight you didn't even know you were carrying is suddenly lifted, and in that open space, the energy of infinite intelligence can flow freely once again. But forgiveness must begin with yourself. Many people carry a heavy burden of guilt, shame, and self-recrimination for past mistakes, missed opportunities, or unrealized potential. This burden is one of the greatest obstacles to alignment with God. Infinite intelligence does not judge you for your past mistakes. It only sees your present potential. But as long as you refuse to forgive yourself, as long as you continue punishing yourself mentally for past failures, you will remain trapped in the past, unable to move forward into the glorious future that awaits you. Forgive yourself, not because your mistakes don't matter, but because you do, because your future matters, because the world needs you operating at your highest level, not paralyzed by guilt and shame. Napoleon Hill also speaks to us about the power of deliberate gratitude. We are not talking about superficial or automatic gratitude. We are talking about a conscious, intentional practice of recognizing and appreciating the blessings that already exist in your life. Every morning, before beginning your day, take a few minutes to mentally list all the things you are grateful for. And not just the big obvious things. Appreciate the small things. The fact that you can breathe freely, the comfort of your bed, the clean water you can drink, the sunrise, the people who love you, the capabilities of your body. When you do this consistently, you train your mind to focus on what is working instead of what is lacking, and this shift in focus is magnetic. The more you appreciate, the more things appear for you to appreciate. Gratitude creates a virtuous cycle of increasing abundance. There is also a principle that Hill calls give and receive. He observed that the universe operates in cycles. You cannot receive constantly without giving. You cannot selfishly accumulate without sharing. The more you give freely, with love, and without expectation of return, the more the universe conspires to return it to you multiplied. But this must be done with the right mindset. If you give only to receive, if you are constantly calculating returns, you are operating from a place of scarcity, not abundance. True giving comes from the recognition that you are connected to an infinite source. You can give freely because you know there is always more where that came from. And when you operate from this place of trust and generosity, you open floodgates through which countless blessings can flow in your direction. Now let's talk about something many people find difficult to understand: the concept of time in the context of alignment with God. On the physical plane, everything seems linear. Cause precedes effect. You plant, wait, and then harvest. But on the plane of infinite intelligence, things work differently. In the realm of pure consciousness, past, present, and future exist simultaneously. When you clearly visualize your goal and feel as if it is already real, you are not fantasizing. You are literally accessing a dimension of reality where that goal already exists. And by doing this repeatedly, with emotion and faith, you are building a bridge between that future reality and your present experience. You are literally bringing that desired future into manifestation in your now. This explains why some manifestations happen quickly, while others take longer. It is not because infinite intelligence is deciding whether you deserve it or not. It is because you are more or less aligned, more or less clear, more or less consistent in maintaining the vibration of what you desire. When you have a burning desire, a crystal clear vision, unwavering faith, and consistent action, things manifest with surprising speed. When you are ambivalent, confused, doubtful, or inconsistent, manifestation is slow or may not happen at all. The timing is not in the hands of some whimsical external power. It is in your hands, in the consistency with which you maintain your alignment. Napoleon Hill tells us about people who spent years struggling and failing, and then suddenly everything changed in an instant. A random contact led to an opportunity that changed everything. A sudden idea resulted in an invention that brought fortune. A seemingly small decision opened unimaginable doors. These people did not experience sudden luck. They had been building pressure, accumulating momentum in the invisible. And when the pressure reached a critical point, there was an explosion of manifestation. It is like water being heated. For a long time, nothing seems to happen. 90 degrees, 95, 98, 99. And then, at 100 degrees, suddenly, it boils and evaporates. It was not the last degree that made the difference. It was all the previous degrees creating the conditions necessary for transformation. So if you are working on your alignment, if you are applying Hill's principles but still not seeing dramatic results, do not give up. You may be just 1 degree away from your boiling point. You may be on the 18th step of a 19-step journey. Persistence is absolutely crucial at this stage. This is where most people give up, right before the breakthrough. Maintain your faith. Continue your practices. Trust the process. Infinite intelligence knows what it is doing. It is orchestrating circumstances, aligning people, creating opportunities. Your job is to remain steadfast in faith, continue acting inspiredly, and trust that at the perfect moment, everything will fall into place. Napoleon Hill also discovered that there is a fundamental difference between wishing and deciding. Most people go through life wishing for things, wishing for more money, more success, more love, more happiness. But wishing is passive. It is weak. It is hopeful, but powerless. Deciding is completely different. When you decide, you cut off all other possibilities. You burn the bridges. You commit fully. The word decide comes from the Latin decidere, which means to cut. When you truly decide, you cut off all other paths. You are not exploring options. You are not trying. You are doing. You already see yourself as the person who has achieved the goal. You are already operating from that place. And this firm decision sends such a powerful signal to infinite intelligence that the entire universe begins to reorganize itself to support your decision. Think of the great leaders in history. Gandhi decided that India would be free, and there was no power on earth that could stop that decision. Martin Luther King Jr. decided that racial justice was inevitable, and his decision changed a nation. Churchill decided that England would never surrender, and that decision saved Western civilization. These were not vague hopes or wishes. They were firm, irrevocable, total decisions. And when you bring this level of certainty and commitment to your own goals, you access the same power that moved these giants of history. You become unstoppable. Obstacles become merely interesting challenges to overcome. Temporary failures become feedback on what to adjust. Critics become irrelevant. Because you have decided, and nothing will change that decision. And there is one more crucial thing Napoleon Hill wants you to understand about aligning your mind with God. This alignment is not something you do once and then you are done. It is a living relationship that must be continuously cultivated. It is like a marriage. You do not marry once and then ignore your partner for the next 50 years, expecting the relationship to thrive. You nurture, cultivate, and invest time and energy consistently. Your relationship with infinite intelligence is the same. It requires daily attention, consistent practice, and constant renewal of commitment. Some days will be easy. You will feel connected, inspired, and powerful. Other days will be challenging. You will feel disconnected, confused, and doubtful. On those difficult days, it is even more important to maintain your practices. It is like going to the gym. The days you least feel like going are often the days you most need to go. So establish daily rituals. It could be your morning meditation practice. It could be your evening visualization session. It could be a moment of gratitude during lunch. It could be a contemplative walk at the end of the day. Whatever it is, make it non-negotiable. Treat your spiritual alignment time as the most important commitment of your day. Because, in truth, it is. Everything else in your life flows from this connection. When you are aligned, everything works better. You make better decisions. You attract better opportunities. You radiate an energy that draws positive people and circumstances. You operate with clarity, confidence, and power. But when you are misaligned, everything feels like a struggle. And the difference between these two states is determined by the consistency of your daily alignment practices. Napoleon Hill spent his entire life studying success, but in the end, he arrived at a surprisingly simple conclusion. Success is not about doing extraordinarily complicated things. It is about doing simple things extraordinarily well. It is about applying fundamental principles with unwavering consistency. And the most fundamental principle of all is this: you are a spiritual being with direct access to infinite power, and when you consciously align your mind with this power through clear thought, intense emotion, unwavering faith, and persistent action, you become capable of achieving anything your mind can conceive and your heart can believe. So, what are you going to do with this information? Are you going to let it be just another interesting fact that goes in one ear and out the other? Or are you going to make the decision right now to start applying these principles in your life? The choice is yours. It always has been. And here is the truth that no one can do for you. Knowledge without application is useless. You can know everything about swimming, but if you never get in the water, you will drown. You can know all the principles of alignment with God, but if you do not practice them daily, they will change nothing in your life. But if you decide, truly decide, to begin today, at this very moment, to consciously align your mind with infinite intelligence, you are about to embark on the most exciting adventure of your life. You will discover abilities you didn't know you had. You will overcome obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. You will attract people and opportunities that once seemed impossible. You will experience synchronicities so perfect they will leave you in reverent awe. And gradually, day by day, practice by practice, you will transform. Not overnight, not in a dramatic explosion, but in a steady, relentless process of growth, evolution, and awakening. And one day, you will look back and barely recognize the person you were when you began this journey. You will marvel at how far you have come, how much you have grown, what you have accomplished. And then you will understand, at the deepest level of your being, the truth Napoleon Hill spent his life trying to communicate. You have never been separate from God. You have always been a unique and precious expression of infinite intelligence. The only thing that has changed is that you awakened to this truth. You remembered who you truly are. And in that remembrance, in that awakening, in that conscious alignment, you found the power to create the life you always knew, deep in your heart, was possible. This is your moment. This is your call. Infinite intelligence is waiting for you. It always has been. It always will be. But it cannot do anything until you make the decision to open yourself, to align, to become the channel through which it can flow. So make that decision now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now. Because every moment you wait is a moment you are living below your potential, operating with a fraction of the power available to you, accepting less than you deserve and less than is possible. Life is calling you to something greater. Infinite intelligence is inviting you into a divine partnership. And through the teachings of Napoleon Hill, you have the map, the tools, and the knowledge to answer that call. What remains now is only one thing: your decision to begin. Let it be now. Let it be today. Let it be this moment when your life truly begins.